Every year, roughly 4 million Americans graduate from college and receive approximately 8 million pieces of advice, and most of it is some variation of follow your passion or do what you love. This advice feels profound, in the way that fortune cookies feel profound. It sounds wise. It makes the commencement speaker seem like they've figured something out, and it sends young people into the world with a completely backwards understanding of how satisfaction actually works. I want to make the case that do what you love is decent advice, but love what you do is substantially better advice, and the difference between them explains a lot about why so many people feel perpetually stuck waiting for their real life to begin. The standard do what you love framework assumes you have some pre-existing passion sitting in your soul, like a fossil waiting to be excavated. If you introspect hard enough, you find the passion, you build a career around it, and then you're happy. The problem is that most people don't have a clear pre-existing passion, and the ones who think they do find out fast that passions don't always survive contact with the economic realities of turning them into a job. Consider the English major who loves reading novels and decides to become a literary critic. 3 years into an adjunct position paying $28,000 annually, teaching 5 sections of freshman composition to students who visibly don't want to be there, our protagonist may notice that the original passion for literature has turned into resentment. Meanwhile, I know people who fell into accounting or supply chain management or dental hygiene almost by accident, and now they genuinely enjoy their work and they love their lives. They didn't start with passion, they developed it. What happened? It's the mastery interest loop. As you get better at something, you tend to find it more interesting. As you find it more interesting, you invest more effort, and the effort makes you better. The loop feeds itself. You can enter this loop at the get better stage rather than the find your passion stage, and the outcome looks roughly the same. Love what you do is advice about building this loop deliberately. You don't have to wait for lightning to strike. You can cultivate appreciation. This might sound like a recipe for settling, but that's not quite right. I'm talking about active cultivation, not passive acceptance. It's the difference between I guess this is fine and I'm going to find the interesting parts of this and get really good at them. Cal Newport wrote a whole book about this concept, arguing that craftsman-style skill development creates career capital that eventually gives you autonomy and control. In his own words, passion is not something you follow. Passion is something that will follow you as you put in the hard work to become valuable to the world. The paradox is that people who focus on finding work they love often end up with less satisfying careers than people who focus on becoming excellent at something and then leveraging that excellence into better conditions. And there's something worth considering about psychological fragility. If your entire sense of career satisfaction depends on having found the one true passion, what happens when that passion fades, or changes, or becomes economically tough? You've built your identity on a foundation that might shift, that might disappear overnight. But if you develop the skill of loving what you do, you have a portable capability that survives job changes and disruptions and all the other volatility that characterizes modern working life. What about genuinely terrible jobs? Are there some circumstances so bad that no amount of loving what you do can salvage them? Obviously, yes. But I'm talking about the median case of people in basically acceptable jobs who are nonetheless waiting for something better to come along and feel like their life means nothing. That's a lot of us. But the people giving do what you love advice are often extremely successful individuals who by definition survived the filter. You don't hear commencement speeches from the people who followed their passion into financial ruin or obscurity. Survivorship bias makes passionate success stories look more common and more replicable than they actually are. The love what you do framework sidesteps this. It doesn't ask you to bet everything on a particular passion paying off. You develop appreciation for whatever you're doing now while remaining open to opportunities. You build skills and satisfaction in parallel rather than waiting for satisfaction to arrive after you've found the perfect fit. I think a lot of career dissatisfaction comes from people comparing their actual jobs to some imagined perfect job where every day would feel meaningful and engaging. And that job mostly doesn't exist. Even people who appear to have found it will tell you, if you ask, that significant portions of their work feel like tedious obligation. The difference is that they develop the habit of finding interest in the tedious parts, or at least the equanimity to get through them without existential crisis. Here's a test you can run on yourself. Think about the parts of your current work that feel the most engaging. Ask whether you arrived at that engagement because of a pre-existing passion, or because you got good at something and the interest followed. In my experience, when people are honest about this, it's usually the latter. The practical upshot is that you should probably spend less energy searching for the perfect career match, and more energy developing excellence and appreciation in whatever you're currently doing. Not forever, necessarily, not as an excuse to stop growing, but as a foundation for actually enjoying your working life, instead of postponing that enjoyment until some future state that may never arrive. Do what you love puts the cart before the horse. It assumes the love comes first and the doing follows. But for most people, in most circumstances, the relationship runs the other direction. The doing comes first. The love, if you cultivate it properly, follows.